Hey Spider Nation, welcome back to another episode of Spider-Man's Tangled WebShow. I'm Jonathan, webmaster of SpiderManFanRave.com, and joining me tonight is James. What's going on, James?
Not much. I'm just watching the WWE pay-per-view as I'm doing the show with you. Had a good night last night with my friends. Drank, had fun, laughed, watched Guardians of the Galaxy and The Simpsons like idiots. Just hung out. We did stuff. Had pasta over at his house. Pretty cool, badass. Watched the Packer game tonight. The Packers won, so awesome. The snow game, that was awesome. And that's about it.
In terms of my week this week, well, today I did homework, which, yay, college stuff, homework. I did homework today. Other than that, I've been like sort of sick-ish the past 2 days, so I watched a lot of Netflix yesterday, which I will discuss later in the shout-out section. Let's see, what else did I do this week? There wasn't a whole lot to do this week because it's been kind of miserable around here in Northeast Ohio this past week. But you know what has not been miserable this week? Spider-Man. Because we got some news, was it yesterday or the day before or something like that?
I think it was yesterday, it was yesterday, but the time zone, I think.
But we got some news about Spider-Man Homecoming, which is the first news about this movie that we've had in like forever. Because
Since Comic-Con, since America Comic-Con.
Because really, like, there's been no new developments with this movie. They're just like, oh yeah, like back when filming was going on, they're like, oh yeah, here's this picture of Tom Holland as Spider-Man on a ledge. Here's this.
The last bit of news I think we got was like Feige confirming like a month ago that Michael Keaton was playing the Vulture, but we already knew that kind of thing.
So. Yeah, it's like we've known that since April. So it's like, or they would show us pictures of, oh hey, here's this character, or here's this actor playing this character. So
here's a shot where he's randomly web-swinging with a redhead saving her, and people really the internet freaked the fuck out that means it must see Mary Jane automatically. Because as me and John went on before we went on the air, there's only two redheads in the Marvel MCU and the main Marvel continuity right now.
Yes, Mary Jane Watson and Pepper Potts. But and Pepper Potts, her contract ran out like 3 years ago, I think. So
they're never getting her back.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Gwyneth Paltrow is like done with Marvel, but
which is why I think that's why they wrote Pepper out of the comics. Because like, well, she's not going to be in the movies no more. There's no point in having her in the comics, even though she was in the comic for 50 years before the movies.
So we got some news this week. It turns out that Spider-Man is actually going to get an addition to his costume that we've never seen in live action before, and that is he's going to have web pits under his arms. And these are apparently going to be supplied to him by Tony Stark. And James came up with a theory. I don't know if this has probably shown up on the internet somewhere else, but there is a theory that that James mentioned to me before the show started, that maybe this is going to be to aid Peter in like fighting the Vulture. Maybe like they're supposed.
Everybody point that because they're calling the web pits in the movie web wings.
Yeah, so like James is more versed in the internet than I am, so I'm sure he got that from somewhere else. But
I got that from all over the internet. The second Nick, I confirmed that they called it web wings in the trailer.
So yeah, so he's going to have the web wings or the web pits as we know them.
They said that's exactly what they look like is web pits.
So probably chances are that he's going to have those to help him in his fight against Vulture, and we've not seen any pictures yet. We've not seen a trailer or anything. We are expecting a trailer within the next 1 to 2 weeks. The rumor is that there is going to be a Spider-Man trailer attached to Rogue One, a Star Wars story. So we could see it as early as James said we could see it as early as Tuesday, because they're going to do some special like Rogue One screenings in
like releases in different areas. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
they might attach a trailer then, and if they do, I don't know if they got trailers normally during releases and stuff like that, but they might then just be on the internet, just be on the safe side. Just like release like the Monday night, like I said during Monday Night Football or something like that.
Yeah, so we might see a Spider-Man trailer this week. We might see it next week.
We're gonna see it for sure, probably in the next 14 days, probably sometime within then. That trailer is gonna be online or at Rogue One or something or another.
And so when that trailer does come out, you can expect me and James to be on here probably within 48 hours after its release, talking about it. We're gonna try to do like a special episode just for the trailer, assuming both of our schedules work out enough. But James, without looking at any images, without seeing any footage or anything, just the idea of the web pits, or the quote unquote web wings as they're calling them, what do you think?
It's weird because I never liked the web pits. There's a reason why none of the movies had them before this one. I never was a fan of the web pits. Like I said, it depends. Like sometimes artists, like I know Steve McNiven drew them, but they were like really small and you missed them, kind of thing. But then you got stuff like Ditko and Romita, and even McFarlane, where they were just all over the fucking place. And I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, there's a reason why Secret Invasion they made sure that the Skrull Spider-Man had web pits. It was so Spider-Man could make fun of how stupid they are, and thank God he doesn't have them anymore. So yeah, but they do have some place in the comics, because like with the rumor being that obviously what we call web wings in the movie is that they're going to help them fly. Because A, that's what Spider-Woman uses to fly. It's the web pits on her arms. And I think that he collided with the Iron Spider suit when it had web pits. So
I'm trying to think back to like those.
I'm not saying it confirms the Iron Spider suit, but I'm saying it's not going to be the first that Tony Bennett him a flying suit with web pits.
All right, but my thoughts on the web pits or the web wings. Like James, I've never really been a fan of the web pits. For me, whenever I think of web pits, I just think of that Amazing Spider-Man #3 Ditko cover with Dr. Octopus holding Spider-Man like this, and the web pits are just like gigantic, and they're just like James said, they're all over the place, and it's just completely ridiculous. And that's what I think when I think of them, and I don't like it. And plus, when I was introduced to the character through the '90s show and through the Raimi films and stuff like that, he didn't have them, and to me, they've always just kind of looked stupid. And so I've never really been a fan of the web pits before. And so seeing them in a live action film, I could do without them. I can see if you're going to do it and you're going to have them try to aid him in flight, this would be the time to include it because of the adversary that he's facing. But I don't know. It's just the aesthetic of them I've never really been fond of. Whenever he's had them in the comics, I'm just like, do we really need to? Is that really necessary? I don't really think the web pits are a necessary addition. I mean, we haven't seen it yet. We should emphasize that we've not seen any images of it yet. We've not seen the footage yet, so we can't really say for sure how good or bad the suit is going to look based on the set picture. I mean, we've not seen any set pictures of the web pits, but we've seen set pictures of Tom Holland in costume, and it's pretty much the same suit from Civil War. But I will say that my just overall impression of web pits is mixed to negative. It's not necessary in my opinion. So
I think there's one theory I read online that because and they kind of show that in the trailer. Cause I believe that some internet site that had like a leak from the script said there was a scene where he says, Happy says something like, "Did you get the suit from Mr. Stark?" And at the end of the movie, he opens it up and it reveals that it's a homecoming dance suit, like an actual nice tuxedo for Peter to wear to go to the dance. Now, I would kind of like that. I think this is tying into that did you get the package from Mr. Stark? He has the web pits, and then he's like, no, did you get the other package from Mr. Stark? And then you turn out that Aunt May or something like that got him, the suit for the homecoming. Like, I think that's kind of cool. That it kind of confirms that rumor that it's going to tie into the homecoming dance, which it fits with the name Homecoming.
yeah, and so that's really the only news that we have this week. Again, we're hoping to see a trailer. Well, yeah, we're hoping to see a trailer within the next 2 weeks. We're not sure. Who knows? That rumor could be completely false, and maybe we'll be left with nothing. Apparently, they were shown a trailer at this Comic-Con where this news was presented.
Because they released a reaction video of all the people at the con going nuts for the trailer.
So I'd assume that we'll see one. I'd assume that we'll see a trailer before the first of the year, or before New Year's hits. So that's something that we have definitely to look forward to. Also coming up This coming Wednesday, we're recording this on Sunday night of December 4th, but this coming Wednesday, December 7th, is Clone Conspiracy number 3, James. Yay!
This is supposed to be the comic that's going to make Dan Slott hide in a nuclear bunker again. Because remember the good old days when comic writers were like, it's because you demanded it, not we're going to deliberately try to piss you off every year by making us have to leave the internet. Yeah, fuck you. Remember the good old days remember when Stan did that? Where he went, fuck you, in his comics to the little kiddies that were reading them in the 60s?
To be honest, I don't remember that ever happening, but I wasn't alive during the 60s.
It's a joke, John, because that didn't happen.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Again, Stan forgot how the fucking Hulk got his superpower for the second issue and called it a gamma gun.
I'm sorry, James. I'm not always the best with sarcasm. But, alright. But, yes, Clone Conspiracy number 3 is coming out this week. So, next week we will have probably the entire episode dedicated to that. So, look out for that one, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not looking forward to this, James. I'm really not looking forward to this. I'm dreading this issue so much. Like, I kind of just want it to be over with already. But that is not what we're talking about tonight. That is not the topic of tonight's discussion. Tonight, we're going to finish off this weeks-long series that we've had going on with Marvel Knights Spider-Man. We're going to finish it off with Marvel Knights Spider-Man number 9 through 12. The final arc of this story. This is the last, This is, the last 4-issue subset of this 12-issue mega arc. So, Marvel Knights Spider-Man number 9 through 12. We got writer Mark Millar, penciler Terry Dodson, inker Rachel Dodson, colorist Avalon's Ian Hinnon, letterers VC's Corey Petit, assistant editor Warren Simmons, editor Axel Alonso. And so Marvel Knights Spider-Man number 9 got a really good cover, I think. Really like that cover a lot. So we open up, and we actually begin with a flashback. And it's Peter Parker as a kid crying in his room alone, sitting on his bed, and his Uncle Ben comes in. He says, "You okay in there, Petey?" "What?" I'm fine, Uncle Ben, just fine." "Well, last time I checked, young boys didn't sit and cry for no good reason. What's the matter, soldier? Flash Thompson giving you a hard time about these new glasses?" "Nah, Flash has been picking on some other kid these last couple of weeks. Things have actually been nice and quiet." "Liz Allen been teasing you again?" And Peter's like, no, she's being nicer to me. And Uncle Ben's like, "Oh, you might have a girlfriend this time next year, huh, Peter?" And so Peter talks to Uncle Ben about how he and Aunt May, or Uncle Ben and Aunt May, are so much older than everyone else's parents or their guardians, their respective guardians. And Peter's just worried that they're going to die off soon and he's going to be alone again. And Uncle Ben's saying, "Peter, that's not going to happen." And then of course, 2-3 years later, Uncle Ben gets shot right in his own home. So yeah, that doesn't really work out too well. But then Peter remembers the death of Gwen Stacy on the bridge, and he's remembering a lot of this because he's thinking about all the people that he feels that he's let down over the years, all the people who have died. Uncle Ben and Gwen, Mom, Dad, and Harry Osborn, Captain Stacy, Jean DeWolf, Bennett Brant, and Freddie Foswell, even poor old Ben Riley, God rest his soul. I've been to more funerals than anyone I've ever known, and I'm starting to wonder if it all comes down to probability.
How did Ben Riley have a funeral?
And I gotta say, Peter's blaming himself for his parents' deaths, but it's Peter, what? You were a toddler when they died. How could you have had anything to do with that?
They went on that final mission, John, because they had to provide for their son, so it's his fault.
Shut up, Peter. Just
no, literally,
shut up.
That's the excuse that Peter goes. If you ever read Family Matters or Family Business or what it's called, that's the retcon. That's why he guilts himself all that, because the parents went on one last mission for him.
Man, he is the most self-centered person.
No, S.H.I.E.L.D. confirms it. They go, "We lost our best agents because of you." Why? Because if they didn't go on one more mission for you after you were born, they would still be here right now. So S.H.I.E.L.D. blamed him.
Yeah, well, screw them. But did my becoming Spider-Man send that ripple through their lives? Is this madness on some exponential curve that just gets steeper with every passing year? I've buried too many people since I put on this mask, but I won't let Aunt May be the next to go down. Not while this animal who snatched her swears she's still alive. Not while there's still a chance. So Peter goes out to meet the guy who kidnapped his Aunt May, and it turns out to be Matt Gargan, the Scorpion. The person who absolutely no one expected. Because it's like, when we think of like diabolical supervillain plans, we think of the Scorpion. But, so Peter like holds him up against a glass window, and like the window cracks, and Peter's like, you better tell me where she is right now, or I'll break your damn neck. And Gargan's just like, aren't you supposed to be paranoid about your secret identity? And he's like, aren't you supposed to want to like keep living your life? And so Gargan's like, yeah, listen, you're not in any position to make demands. You threaten me, she dies, blah, 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 blah. Let's go have lunch, Spider-Man. So Peter and Gargan go to lunch, and basically the rest of this issue is Matt Gargan explaining how, since pretty much the beginning of the superheroic era, the supervillains have basically been corporate creations to keep superheroes away from their business deals. So they create supervillains to distract superheroes so that they can keep their money. And so basically it's just Mark Millar going on his like anti-corporate, anti-1% rant.
It's the same stuff that he later on does in Civil War. And what he did in his Ultimates run, where his politics are kind of like the downfall of his comics.
Like, literally, he comes up with this insane backstory that these supervillains are assigned to superheroes so that they can, like, buy...
Which makes no fucking sense with Scorpion's origin. I mean, granted, the guy who invented Scorpion was Jonah, who runs the biggest newspaper in New York City, but it wasn't because of some corporate BS political Bush administration conspiracy theory that he goes on in here. It was, I want somebody to kill Spider-Man, so I created the Scorpion. Oh, fuck, they backfired on me.
So, yeah, basically, Mark Millar just sticks up a middle finger to the top 1% here. And it's kind of weird, but it's actually kind of, like, interesting. Almost, because it's like...
If it was its own universe, that would be sweet, but as we know, they try to shovel Marvel Knights into the main continuity.
Yeah, and that never works out well for them. But basically, Gargan goes on to explain that he was actually hired by Norman Osborn, and all of this has been Norman's plan this entire time. If Spider-Man ever, had him publicly revealed, or if he had him thrown in jail, Scorpion was supposed to kidnap Aunt May and make them go through this whole thing. And so he explains that Doc Ock has been programmed to kill Norman Osborn this coming weekend, or the coming weekend. And that Norman wants Spider-Man to break him out of jail. And basically, I'm trying to find the line here. You break the Green Goblin out of prison, there's always the possibility he's going to kill someone again. You refuse to break him out, it's an absolute guarantee May Parker is going to die. What do you think this has all been about, Spider-Man? Why do you think we've been running you ragged these past few weeks? We were softening you up, kid. And so, yeah, basically Gargan puts Spider-Man up to the job of breaking Norman out of prison and all of this stuff. And so Peter, he's walking back to his apartment, and he's just, he's trying to just process all of this. And he gets to his apartment, and one of his students is like sitting on the doorstep outside of his apartment building. And apparently, it's a student that he had promised to meet with, and the student's been sitting there for for several hours. And Peter just tries to blow him off, just like, oh God, I'm sorry, buddy. Something came up, and things have been kind of crazy today. Could we take a rain check on this? Could you come back tomorrow at the same time? And the kid's like, come on, man, I really need your help. And Peter talks to him like, okay, you got 10 minutes, Humberto. I'm like, Peter, come on. Like, that's kind of a dick reaction. Like, I know you're under a lot of...
To be fair, we all had teachers that had that reaction when they said, oh, come to me after school for help. And then they're like, I'm too busy, go.
It's like, I know you're under a lot of stress right now, Peter, but it's like, it doesn't make you look like any less of a dick.
I guess it's trying to parallel the Uncle Ben scene earlier. If you look at the way he's sitting on the porch to compare to where Uncle Ben was sitting on the bed.
Oh, I never even thought about that. But, so the issue ends at the home of Matt Gargan. Because Matt Gargan he's going home to try on the new Scorpion suit that Norman had commissioned for him. But he arrives back home and he finds an unexpected visitor. Wow, I love the new costume they sent you, Mac. I hear this new tail they built can take down a Winnebago. Now, and those cool stripes on your chest are to die for. What? You really think this is going to make a difference to your pathetic career? You really think a new tail that smashes bigger objects is going to put you on the map again? Who is this? Who's saying that? Me? Oh, I'm your new best friend, Mac. I'm your ticket out of the gutter. Just say the word and nobody's ever going to laugh at you again, Mr. Scorpion. Aren't you embarrassed how your body looks after all those painful operations? I know who you are and I ain't interested, creep. I got enough best friends. Oh, but Mac, you never had a friend like me before. And it's the Venom symbiote, which leads into issue 10 after I drink water. Doing that symbiote voice is hard on my throat. I'm sorry. Pure Aqua Spring Water, if they ever want to sponsor us.
No, they don't, John.
No.
Get over it. Get over yourself. They're never going to sponsor you. Just move on with your life.
I can't move on, James. I thought we had something special. That was me paraphrasing.
Okay, Clark.
No, actually, that was me paraphrasing SpongeBob.
Yeah, because a guy in my school, Clark, did that before when a girl stood him up, and as a joke, he stalked her up as a joke to get back at her. Stalked that he was an ex-boyfriend. So he followed her up an escalator, got to the top of the escalator, and it's going down, and then as it's going down, he's like this. I thought what we had was special because we went on a field trip and he met a hot chick, and she was just using him to go buy all the shit she wanted at the convenience store. That's right, connected to the convention center where we went for a field trip. And he got stood up when she said, go meet me over this place, and she never came. And then he saw her doing the same thing with another guy, so he decided to get back to her by pretending to be a psycho stalker boyfriend to annoy that other guy to get away from her. So he does that. He's follows her around with this sob story about, you left me and our child in our hotel room, you skank. And then as she's walking away and he's following her up the escalator, he's walking up the one that's going down. And as he gets to the top and she starts to turn away and get that far as she gets from, he just reaches out his hands and he starts going down and says, I thought what we had was special.
I was just gonna say, I'm pretty sure stalking is a felony. I'm pretty sure that's.
I explained it though. He was doing it as a prank to get back at the chick. He wasn't literally stalking her, John.
He only liked me for my shorts. Or whatever that line was.
Clark changed that line when he was going down. Because then he screamed, you only like me for what's under my shorts.
Oh, jeez.
Because he was pissed off at this chick and everybody was laughing.
Alright, but, what were we talking about? Oh, yeah, Spider-Man in a graveyard, thinking to himself, Uncle Ben, I'm so sorry. They might have fixed your gravestone. They might have swapped the turf and planted a few flowers. But I could still tell that you're angry with me, and you have every reason to be angry. I'm sorry about you, sorry about Gwen, and sorry about this awful situation Aunt May's in because of me and this stupid mask. And so basically, Peter's asking Uncle Ben for forgiveness, and he's going home, and he goes home, and he explains the plan to Mary Jane, and she throws up in the sink, as you do. And Peter's like, look, MJ, I know that you don't like this, but I kind of have to. And he's enlisted Black Cat to help him, and so they're going to go break Osborn out of prison. And MJ's like, Peter, this is a stupid idea. Do you honestly think that Norman is actually going to, keep his word? And Peter's like, yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I honestly do think that. And Mary Jane's like, for God's sake, Peter, are you ever going to learn anything? So they take off for the prison. Mary Jane stays behind. She looks at the gun that she purchased earlier, and she's worried about the whole situation. Spider-Man and Black Cat show up at the prison, and the Black Cat's like, "What are you gonna do once he's out there again? About your secret identity, I mean. How are you gonna make sure nothing like this ever happens in the future?" And Spider-Man explains that he's going to go into the witness protection program and he's going to take his whole family with him. And they get up to the fence and Black Cat.
That would fucking work with Norman Osborn.
And Black Cat, or when the two of them get up to the fence, Black Cat's like, you don't have to do this. I'm prepared to do this on my own if you don't want to. And Peter's like, come on, let's go see if the Scorpion's plans for this place are as good as they looked on paper. So they break into the prison, and it turns out that at the same time that they're breaking in, some of the guards are planning to kill Osborn.
You skipped a big part, John.
What did I skip?
Black Cat and Mary Jane finally coming to blows. Her finally consoling Peter, hugging him. Her grabbing the gun as Osborn's already in the house. Or at least the silhouette of Osborn, is in the house, kind of like stalking her for what happens towards the end.
I talked about the gun, but I sort of skimmed over that scene because it was just like I didn't feel it was necessary. But yes, that does happen. But so they break into the prison, and they get Norman out of his cell, and the guys who were going to kill Osborn, are like, these are guys who are just acting independently, and they're not actually hired by the 1% or whoever hired the people to kill Osborn. They're working independently because of what Osborn did to that one guy's wife. And so it's actually that guy and some other guys, and they're going up to kill him, and they find that he's not in his cell, and they're like, oh my god, what? Hit the alarms. And so the alarms go off, and Norman's like, you cretins, I thought you said you had this covered. Oh, shut up and stop complaining, Osborn. Just get me out of these cuffs so I can run properly. After you show me where you got Aunt May locked up, smart guy. And so they run into some guards in the tunnels. They manage to get away. Spider-Man swims down into the river or whatever, and Felicia and Norman take off on their own. But Spider-Man is actually sort of ambushed by Hydro Man, and he's launched onto the shore, where they find Black Cat captured by Sandman, and Norman has managed to get his Goblin gear back, and he's just like, you know your trouble, Spider-Man? You always think the best of people. You always think that everyone is just as nice as you are. Is your head this much of a mess right now? Did you really think I wouldn't have a double cross prepared? Your missing person's going to starve to death, boy. A month from now, she'll be a bag of bones, and the same goes for that pretty little missus. There's always a plan within a plan within a plan when you're up against the goblin insect. Did you really think I'd let you get away with throwing me in jail? And so, basically, the Sinister 12 show up, comprised of Lizard, Shocker, Hydro-Man, Vulture, Electro, Sandman, Chameleon, Boomerang,
Hydro-Man.
What?
Hydro-Man.
I already said Hydro-Man.
Wait, who's that gray guy in the background? Oh, no, that's Tombstone. Is that Tombstone?
I am trying to see who that is, and I cannot make it out.
And who's the other guy? The guy between Electro and Spider-Man.
I'm honestly trying to tell who that is as well. I think that's Chameleon.
No, Chameleon is there, but the other guy.
Ooh, I'm honestly not sure, but it's 12 supervillains, all right? And then at the last second, Gargan shows up. You gotta be kidding me, Norman. I just got held up. Scorpion? This is Spider-Man's last stand, right? I wouldn't have missed that for the world. Dun dun dun. And of course, Gargan shows up as the new Venom. All right, James, I'll let you go first. What did you think of Marvel Knights Spider-Man number 9 and 10 here?
They're, again, pretty good comics. I like the Uncle Ben scene, and I like the fact that, I don't think John knows it, but the artwork about how the first panel is the exact same shot of Peter's room that it is when he's showing it to Aunt May. And it's just because he's pre-Spider-Man, all that Spider-Man collectible shit isn't on the walls or anything anymore. And I like the little foreshadowing. He's like, Peter, I'm not going to die, don't worry about me. And then, like, his shadow is the burglar pointing the gun. I like that kind of artist representation that he's right behind him, kind of thing. I do find it kind of weird that Peter's crying at the whole thought of, you and Aunt May are old, so you're going to die before me. If I'm Uncle Ben, I'm going, wow, that's very dark of you, Peter. I do kind of like the floating heads of guilt, because this was like the first time since the Clone Saga that he was actually showing Ben Riley as a floating head of guilt. And that was kind of weird. And you got even Sally Averill in her Mockingbird costume from Untold Tales as a floating head, which is weird. At first I thought, who's this female Kamen Rider? And then I remembered, oh yeah, Sally Averill, Untold Tales, yeah. That's how they wrote her off the book, because she disappeared in Stan's original run. So they were like, Paul Jenkins during Untold Tales is like, she's dead. So you got that. The rest of it is, like John said, yeah, it's classic Mark Millar, just adding politics and the whole kind of modern, kind of Bendis style of comics where it's like, they're just going to sit down and talk for the whole issue. Something that Stan used to do in the 60s in one page, they're going to do in a whole issue. And yeah, that 1%er thing is just the most bizarre thing I think you could ever have happen. It's like, nobody touches this plot point ever again. It makes no goddamn sense when you think about it. Especially when you think that Osborn's a part of this, when he owns a company himself. So wouldn't he be his own fucking one?
Well, they said that he was a supervillain contractor, but then he went crazy and became the Green Goblin, and they were like, okay, we're not going to deal with you anymore.
Yeah, but it's like, if he's the Goblin, then wouldn't he be Oscorp's? It's just more Millard adding his old Bush administration politics that he's been doing a lot during this era. Like I said, he goes at it a lot with Ultimates. The whole joke about the Ultimate comic is the Ultimates are useless because of Bush. And then, of course, Civil War.
Civil War is literally just Mark Millar's politics.
Mark Millar, it's not just him. It's literally everybody in Marvel's politics. Like, I still remember the issue of Iron Man that happened at the time, where the whole side, it's like, where Tony Stark is talking to these Republican guys, and the whole thing is so sympathetic. Why can't the liberals just see that we're actually trying to help the country, where all they care about their liberal business? And then you would go to, like, a Spider-Man book in GMS and say the same thing, but now it's reversed about the conservatives and their business interests. And it's like, you're literally having the same conversation, but you're mixing up... What? But yeah... This is classic Mark Millar, just adding whatever he felt about politics at the time into the comics, where it doesn't fit at all here. It comes off as fucking weird. Because anybody who knows the origin story of all these villains know that it has zero to do with corporations. So yeah, that part's kind of dumb. And the Venom part is kind of also dumb. You know, I didn't really enjoy that. I still don't enjoy Gargan as Venom, and this is the beginning of that. It was always dumb. Issue 10, I like it, because again, the foreshadowing of where Aunt May actually is. I'm surprised Peter's spider sense isn't going off.
Yeah, that is kind of like, I never thought...
His spider sense goes off when people are throwing him a surprise birthday party, and he already knows about it, because the spider sense, he has to pretend like it's a surprise. But yet he can't sense that Aunt May's down there.
I never thought of that. But, of course, the spider sense is so, like, it's dependent on the plot.
Even the point that Dan Slott had to come up with, like, what, 5 different MacGuffins for why the spider sense doesn't work in his run for stuff like that?
Dan Slott literally just got rid of the spider sense because he's just like, I don't even want to deal with it. He got rid of it for like 20 issues, didn't he?
And then he brought it back.
Oh,
he brought it back and he took away it again during Spider-Verse, remember?
Yeah, it's like he got rid of it in that Smythe arc, brought it back in Spider Island, then he had it, and then of course he like...
I think he didn't have it Superior because he had some bullshit about Ock, that being one of the weird powers that Ock doesn't have, is the spider sense.
No, Ock, I'm pretty sure Ock had the spider sense, but when he got to Volume 3, the spider sense or whatever, no, it was like their spider pheromones that made Spider-Man and Silk have to...
Bang, I know that.
Yeah, consistently be on each other all the time. But I'm trying to remember. I think, yeah, there was something about his spider sense with Spider-Verse, but I'm not sure...
They outright said because the web of life was cut so much, your connection to your spider sense is weakened or probably gone forever. But I don't think anybody ever touched that. Slott said that.
I'm not sure that's ever been dealt with again.
Back to this issue. Yeah, issue 10, I like it. The double cross is, like, obvious. It's one of those dumbass Peter Parker moments that pisses you off. Where it's like, he killed your fucking girlfriend, he killed your unborn child, and you think he's gonna play ball with you over Aunt May, the person who he already fucked you over with in the Clone Saga? I mean, Clone Saga happened. He mentions Ben Reilly, so fuck you. So yeah, you have that. That part always pisses me off. Mary Jane being the voice of reason, calling it out that it's fucked up, and he doesn't fall for it. And then they had to bring up that whole sexual tension with Felicia, the love triangle that felt kind of forced. How she just snapped her like, "Why don't you go get a boyfriend of your own, girlfriend?" Literally, that's her argument back to Black Cat being all up for this.
Yeah.
Black Cat, she gives Peter the way out of saying, "I'll go do this, Peter. Your wife doesn't want you to handle it." She goes, "Why don't you be in your own business, Felicia? Why don't you get your own boyfriend instead of trying to take back mine?" NJ, that has fucking no context for what's going on right now. And then she's just like, "Hold me, Peter. I'm just scared. That's why I did it." And then she grabs the gun. But yeah, I like that part because it is showing that she is freaking out, even though it's kind of weird. She immediately turns Black Cat and goes, "Well, Peter doesn't have to go. He can stay home with you, and I'll go take care of it if you're worried about him, MJ." And her bitch comeback is, "Why don't you go get your own boyfriend?" It's like completely out of place. But anyways, yeah, so that's going on. Rest of it is okay. Like I said, the Sinister 12 was like a dumb idea, I think. It was just an excuse of, let's throw every Spider-Man villain in here. Come on, let's go get Carnage. Let's go get this guy. Let's go get that guy. You know what? Let's not do that. Let's just give it a nice number of 12. 12 villains in one comic. That's a nice number.
All right, James, but any other thoughts, and you give these issues the thumbs up, thumbs sideways, or thumbs down?
Thumbs up.
All right, my thoughts, I give these issues a thumbs up as well. I thoroughly enjoyed them. Issue 9 is just strange, because it's just Mark Millar's politics, like it really is. And it would, I think James said this earlier, it would be a cool idea if this was its own universe, but like we obviously it's just BS. But I mean, it's entertaining if you think of it as just like a standalone story.
I write it off as just Gargan's so nuts, it's his own conspiracy theory about what's going on. Like, that's not what's going on. Like, those guys are after, like Osborn said, they're after him because I killed that guy's wife. I think it's outright saying that it's just all in Gargan's head. That could be your no prize retcon out of it.
I think
they're all in Gargan's head.
I think Gargan's just been reading too many conspiracy theory websites, and that's what gave it to him. But yeah, I mean, like I still enjoy the issue. I have fun with it. I agree with James. I don't really like Matt Gargan as Venom. I much prefer him as the Scorpion. I don't really think he brings anything really.
Everybody did. The only guy who liked this was Bendis, I think.
I mean, I think even Slott was like, when Slott came on the book, he like one of the big things he wanted to do was turn Gargan back to Scorpion.
Because that was a politic thing that I think it's where all him and Bendis' whole kind of hatred for each other stems from. Is the fact that Gargan was supposed to become. They were going to take the black suit off Venom at New Ways to Die, which was written by Slott, and the Spider-Man writers had all these plans for Gargan being Scorpion again, and even setting up a new Venom for Dark Avengers. And then Bendis goes, "No, I like Gargan, because Gargan could be a joke. I can make fun of Venom with Spider-Man if it's Gargan. I can't make fun of it to anybody cool, like Eddie Brock. So I want to be Gargan. Gargan's the one I want. You can have anyone you want. Yeah, I want Gargan." So I think that's kind of where it stems from. It's the fact that he told immediately as soon as Slott became the Soul Rider, he's like, "That's a Spider-Man character, Matt Gargan. Both him and Venom. We're taking it back. Fuck you."
But yeah, I don't really like Matt Gargan as Venom. I don't think he brings anything cool to the role.
He was literally just there so Bendis can make a joke about look how lame Venom is. He's just a evil Spider-Man copy. That's all it was. It was just where Spider-Man can go, "Oh, it's not even the cool Venom. It's Gargan." It's like you made a big deal to make sure the Spider-Man books don't make Gargan Scorpion again, just so you can have Spider-Man make a joke about, "Look, he's got Gargan pretending to be Venom, pretending to be me on his team." And it's like, really? that is really what happened to New Avengers if you go read that.
But issue 10, I don't really, like, I'm going to be honest with you. It's like, I know Peter is like really in a really stressful place right now, but I really don't think he would fall for this. Like, this is Norman Osborn we're talking about, and I feel like we're going to have a similar discussion to this next week with Clone Conspiracy number 3, with Peter making stupid decisions about believing villains.
This isn't new. He's been making stupid decisions since the Ditko era, let's be honest.
But it's like, come on, Peter, just really, really. And when you have Mary Jane being the voice of reason here, it just makes it worse. But I mean, I like the
Why?
dynamic.
Like Mary Jane can't be the voice of reason?
No, but it's just like it's pointing out how stupid the main character is.
But that's something Slott does a lot in his run. How you'll have somebody point out how dumb what Peter did was dumb, and it's like that doesn't make it better.
Exactly. It's like that's what makes it worse. That's what I'm saying. But
you acknowledge that it's a problem and did it anyways.
Which is the most frustrating, like one of the most frustrating things any writer can do, in my opinion. But yeah, I like the banter between Spider-Man and Felicia. I do enjoy that quite a bit. I also love when the guards find that Osborn's not in his cell anymore. They're like, "Oh shit! Like this is way bigger than we thought it was gonna be." The Sinister 12 is a really good cliffhanger, I think, and it's an interesting concept. I really do like this 2-page spread. I think it's probably like one of the best and most standout pieces of artwork from this whole 12-issue mega arc. So I really like that. Or the artwork, like we've been saying for the past 3 episodes, is really, really good. And so yeah, I give these issues a thumbs up. Really pretty solid. And so I'm going to turn it over to James, and James is going to tackle Marvel Knights Spider-Man number 11 and 12, the final 2 issues of this maxi maxi series or maxi arc or mega arc or whatever you want to call it.
It's the run. It's the Mark Millar run of Marvel Knights. Because if it just ended here as a miniseries, that would be one thing. But they go on Marvel Knights all the way up until like it becomes sensational with the other. So
yes. So James is going to take us through Marvel Knights Spider-Man number 11 and 12. So James, go on. Tell us how Marvel Knights Spider-Man Mark Millar's run comes to an end.
It begins with the Green Goblin, he gliding, and he's all like, "Is that you, Scorpion?" And he's like, "No, I'm Venom now." And he's basically, doing all this stuff. And then Spider-Man's like, "What the fuck?" Every villain is like lame. Pretty much everybody's like lame. As Gargan's trying to sell how cool and awesome this is. It's like, come on, I'm Venom now. Everybody loves Venom. Yeah, we love Venom. We don't love you. Aww.
He only liked me for my shorts.
They only liked me for my tail. No, Gargan, you're wrong. We didn't like you for just your tail. We never liked you. Go away. So pretty much Venom, because the Goblin's like, well, whatever then. Everybody go kill Spider-Man. So you get the epic brawl as Spider-Man's punching everybody, and Black Cat is punching everybody, and they're having this awesome fight. And Venom's attacking Spider-Man, and Electro's electrocuting Black Cat, and then all this cools up, and you got almost like Spider-Man 3 moments. It's kind of awkward and weird now, looking back at it, with Gargan on top of Spider-Man, like, "You made fun of me for all these years, and now I'm gonna fucking kick your ass." And all this stuff, and you got Vulture flying around, and it's just a big superhero fight. He's about to kill Spider-Man, and then Spider-Man's like, "Shut the fuck up, Gargan. I'm a man," and punches him. That's basically what happens here.
Spider-Man is a grown-ass man. I don't know where that quote's from, but I'm paraphrasing. Why is James looking like he's like...
All cuts, look up at the TV for what happened on the wrestling pay-per-view.
Oh, James is like having a vision right now.
And then, so Gargan gets beaten up by Spider-Man. Really, that's a good way of selling your new Venom. 2 minutes into the fight, and Spider-Man fucking destroys him worse than Topher Grace in Spider-Man 3. Congratulations, Mark Gargan. Get the fuck out of my comic book. As you can tell, I hate him as Venom. I can barely stand him as Scorpion, because at least he had a good character for being Scorpion. He hated Jonah for putting him in the suit, and he wants to kill Jonah every chance he got. I can understand that. That's a revenge plot. That's an understandable villain. This is just, I'm cool Venom now, love me. No, get the fuck out of my comic book. There's the door, Gargan. Get your ass out. Go. Go.
This is like, it's like that guy who did like one cool thing in his life, and now he thinks he's at the popular kids' table. It's that guy, pretty much.
Oh, yeah, so this is going on, and then all the villains are still fighting, and then in a cool moment, in a legitimately cool moment, that I think is obvious foreshadowing what happens later on this month where Peter joins the new Avengers. It's all like, Cap's like, "We're here to protect our own. Avengers and Fantastic Four and X-Men. Fuck up some shit and assemble!"
And Daredevil, for whatever reason.
Well, because the plan was for Bendis to have Daredevil as a member of the Avengers, and then it leaked that he was a member of the Avengers, and he's like, nah. I think that's what it is. I think they're setting up the new Avengers. So yeah, you just explain who's there. You got Hank Pym, you got Thing, you got Human Torch, you got, the Fantastic Four. I'll just sum it up by saying them. You got Daredevil, you got Iron Man. Hank Pym is completely awkward and random there because here's all these A-listers and Ant-Man. And so yeah, so all of a sudden you get this really cool moment of like Daredevil kicking Venom's ass, because again, Daredevil has no superpowers besides his radar sense, and he's kicking the shit out of your new Venom. Again, great job, guarding. Get the fuck out of the comic book. You got Thing beating the shit out of Sandman. You got like the Fantastic Four and Ant-Man just going like this as he's like, because he's Yellow Jacket, so he's like flicking just like little like Electro like this. It's awesome. And then you got Mary Jane in the apartment with her phone, and she's all worried about Peter, and is he going to be safe? And then the Green Goblin's like, "It's Gwen Stacy time, bitch!"
Oh, it's Gwen Stacy time, bitch.
Or in more cases, well, we're tying into all the Spider-Man movies, so it's time to do the ending of Spider-Man 1. Sleep. That's what he does here. He goes like this, and then she gets sleeping gas. What is it, John?
Well, he doesn't actually go like this, but she does get sleeping gas, pretty much. Or whatever.
Well,
it's like.
At least oh my god, does that mean when Gargan took Aunt May, did he scream "finish it" as she was doing her prayers? That is still one of my least favorite scenes in Spider-Man 1. Finish it! Finish it! It's like the most awkward scene. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, but you can see Mary Jane's like eyes kind of closing there.
And this is going on. Captain America's talking to him like, dude, this is going to be totally cool and awesome when we're in New Avengers together. And Spider-Man's like, totally. It's things like, too bad I'm stuck with the Fantastic Four. Fuck my life.
I'm still at Fox. You guys are at Marvel. No fair.
So yeah, Spider-Man goes web swinging because it pretty much hints him that, oh, I just love the Green Goblin. He's gone. And Mary Jane's alone in an apartment. This never bodes well for me. I'm going. And then Venom Gargan's like, not now, and it pisses me off. Because, like, aren't you dead yet? So he starts, like, beating Spider-Man to death in somebody's apartment as they go through the window. So they're like, hey, it's Bart Hamilton's parents' house. We got to show them that we got their shit. They go through the window. And it does the whole weird thing that they do a lot with Spider-Man, where it's like either Venom, him, or Green Goblin does this whole, I'm going to crush your skull through a wall. It's weird. So yeah, Venom's beating the shit out of them while they scare this old couple who are shooting at them through the window. And then Spider-Man's like, enough of this, and then they start to fight some more, and you get like the cool, awesome web thing as it's going up against the Venom web thing. And Spider-Man saves the city as he protects falling debris from the apartment that they went for the wall of for killing people. And everybody's happy. And then Spider-Man, again, in a rat-infested house with a billboard about roaches, just says, Gargan, you suck. I said for the last time, get the fuck out of my comics. He drops a building on him.
He literally says, he's like, but I've got news for you, man. A loser dressed like Venom is still a freaking loser. He says that in like a narration box, and it's just like, I think that was probably James's favorite line of the comic.
And bringing up homages to the movies, doctors are trying to work on Doc Ock and take off his tentacles, and he wakes up and murders them all. Wow, where have I seen that from before, John? That same year in 2004?
I think this was 2005 when this came out, though.
But you know what I mean, though? It's the same storyline from where it began with. It's kind of weird, because when you read the first arc, it's like the old Avengers are still together, and by the time you get to the end of it, it's already new Avengers. That's how long this year was in the Marvel Universe, when you think about it in context. So yeah, Spider-Man goes web-swinging to the bridge, and again, we got to reenact the movies, and it's Green Goblin like, hey, what's up? Looks familiar, doesn't it, Parker? Huh? I even took the courtesy of dyeing Mary Jane hair blonde and made her wear a green coat. Oh yeah, I fucked her. Not Mary Jane Quinn.
But you won't learn.
Pass is going around at the same time too, so that's why I said.
Yeah, I assume that this takes place before Sin's Pass, so I'm just like, but you won't learn about that until Amazing Spider-Man.
You won't learn about that until literally this Most Amazing Spider-Man issue. Literally, it was the same month.
All right, but Marvel Knights Spider-Man number 12, the finale of Mark Millar's run. James, take us through this one.
So yeah, the Green Goblin. It's basically tying in. Why is this issue called The Last Stand? Well, because it's a remake of the night Gwen Stacy died. So yeah, you got the normal stuff of like the Green Goblin and the whole romantic idiot, and it's like completely out of 121. And then Spider-Man's all like, dude, no fucking way. Shh, this sucks. God damn it, Goblin. I want to get away from these bridge and falling shit on me, and I can never get the fuck away from them. You suck. And then Doc Ock's like, I'm here now. Hi.
That's real. That like it's the most awkward introduction ever because it's like Goblin's making this whole speech and then he just notices Peter's not even paying attention and he's like, "What? What are you looking at?"
It's like, I'm just making Spider-Man like, what the fuck's going on now? So yeah, you basically start getting a triple threat match between this whole issue. That's pretty much what it is. The triple threat match as Doc Ock, Spider-Man, and Green Goblin are all trying to kill each other, and then Mary Jane's like, "Oh, that reminds me, I have a gun."
Which I really should have used earlier.
Well, to be fair, she got sleeping gas, so she didn't have a chance to use it earlier. She's just waking up now.
Okay, that's true.
So yeah, Spider-Man's beating the shit out of the Goblin, and Ant-Man, and not Ant-Man, and then Mary Jane's like, "Get the fuck away from my husband," and she points the gun at him. And she screams Peter as the ricochet from the blast knocks her off the bridge. And then again, we get the most famous quote in comics in Gwen Stacy died. Peter screaming, "Not like Gwen! Not like Gwen! Mary Jane!" This happens so many times since Gwen Stacy died that Peter yells, "Not like Gwen," whenever a girl's in danger. But this time it makes sense, and he's like actually competent this time though. He's like, "I learned my fucking lesson. I know what to fucking do now." Instead of just grabbing her by the neck and she snaps and she dies, I'm going to grab Mary Jane in every vital thing. I'm not even going to miss a joint in her toes because I want to make sure that not one bone in her body breaks. Badass and awesome. That's cool. I love that panel of him just like real quickly as he gets every part of her body protected. And then he waits, and then finally she says Peter, and then he knows she's alive. And he's like, badass and cool. So he grabs her. He hugs her. Green Goblin shows up. She says, "Spider-Man, look out!" And he webs up Spider-Man, and they go for a building. He takes the mask for killing Norman Osborn. And then Peter's like, "Mr. Osborn, why? The Goblin did it, not me!" And then he tries to get Spider-Man to help him. And he goes, "I'm like a father to you." And he's like, "I have a father. His name was Ben Parker." And he says, "Godspeed, Spider-Man." Spider-Sense happens. He ducks the glider, gets hit. Don't kill Harry. Oh, wait, wrong continuity.
But James, that didn't happen in the comic.
This is basically what it is. It's just recreating what you saw in the movie.
Except
but instead of it being Spider-Man look out, it's just like I'm going to do the same plot I had back during the night when Stacy died, but this time I'm actually going to pick up my glider and just bash you over the head with it. And then Doc Ock's like, "Dude, that's fucked up," and then he just like stops the Green Goblin from doing that. And because it's raining during a thunderstorm, and you got a metal glider and a metal legs of Doc Ock, God's like, "I'm going to end this comic now." Zap. And then both Green Goblin and Spider and Doc Ock fall to their deaths, or so we think. Peter hugs Mary Jane, says he loves her, and he's so glad he saved her and not Gwen, because this is once again at the whole Betty and Veronica, who does he love more bullshit. Somehow this confirms he loves Mary Jane more than Gwen. The fact that he saved her and couldn't save Gwen, which is kind of messed up when you think about it, because it's like, what, are you saying that Peter wanted Gwen to die? "I loved you more, Mary Jane, that's why I saved you." That's kind of fucked up, Peter. But then again, it's kind of fucked up how you're saying you're still in love with a corpse going on right now with Sin Patch in the main book, so you're just fucked up altogether. And then Peter puts two and two together as he realizes what down among the dead men and all these clues hinted to. She was why Scorpion vandalized Uncle Ben's gravesite is because they were putting Aunt May's body with Uncle Ben. She was down among the dead men. There she is with an oxygen tank because they wanted her to be alive. MacGuffin, because she can't survive like Peter did during Kraven's Night Hunt where he was down there for weeks. This is literally like, Aunt May has oxygen too. She still hasn't fucking eaten or drank for weeks, but she has oxygen too, so she's somehow alive. He gives her CPR, I get that, but still, it's like, really? She should be dead. And then the same thing that happened during One Moment in Time happens, where the power of love of super CPR saves her life. And then he's hugging Aunt May, and he's all happy that he saved his Aunt May. And then we cut to him visiting Felicia, and she's all, look at me looking all cute with my Felicia haircut in the fucking bed. And he's all like, dude, you were kind of pointless here, Felicia. What were you even doing in this comic? And she's like, Kevin Smith was originally going to write it, and he wanted to use me. So Peter Webb swings away as he goes through narrations of what's going on with everybody, pretty much setting up where Black Cat's going to be if anybody writer wants to pick her up in another title. It sets up Doc Ock being saved by the Avengers and being taken to jail. And then he's like, nobody found Osborn, nobody found a body. And then it cuts to Tinker. He's now like auctioning off the Scorpion suit, setting up who's going to be the new Scorpion. You want to know what fucking happens? This auction doesn't get picked up on until Brand New Day 5 years fucking later with a one-off female Scorpion who was never used again because finally Bendis was done using Gargan so Slott could put Gargan back in the Scorpion suit. I'm not bullshitting you. That's literally what happens here. Oh, and then, of course, you got Jonah now writing Spider-Man fluff pieces, which, again, if you read New Avengers right now, makes no fucking sense in continuity, where he's trashing the Avengers for drafting Spider-Man to their team.
Literally, they make, like, an exclusive deal with the New Avengers for, like, the New Avengers to give them exclusive content or whatever, like, exclusive stories.
For Parker with the photos. It was an excuse to explain Parker being in the tower, too, I think. So, he's our official photographer for you, Jonah. And he gets to live here for free. With his family, after his home burned down.
And it's like, Jonah completely betrays them, and it's like...
It's the best twist ever. Because the whole point is he's always been writing that the superheroes are freaks, but I gotta write good things about the Avengers because they'll sue me for libel. Spider-Man won't, but they will. This is like, you have no jurisdiction ever disassemble. I can tell you all what I finally think about you. But there's just some weird Bendis not giving him a continuity because he attacks mutants for being freaks. And that's why they put a mutant on their team. One, Wolverine's not the first mutant to be on the X-Men. I mean, to be on the Avengers. And B, weren't you the guy who in an X-Men team-up issue back in Marvel Team-Up when people were being prejudiced against the X-Men, you said, that's racist. I'm a newspaper journalist. Spider-Man made the choice to be an illegal vigilante with his powers. That's why I'm attacking him. These people were just born with it. Treat him with respect. And then here in New Avengers, he's like, he's a mutant. They put a mutant on their team. They suck. And then like they go for everybody. Tony Stark's a drunk. And he's like, hey, I'm not dead anymore. Luke Cage, he used to be a criminal. Yeah, for crimes I didn't commit and was falsely accused. But I love it, though, too. Captain America's a war criminal. It's just the whole idea of how he's trashing them because, like, I promised you I won't trash Spider-Man, but now I'm burying all of you motherfuckers, and it's all because you put him on your team. Because J. Jonah Jameson.
J. Jonah Jameson is, like, he's a good man at heart, but he's, like, he really sees things, like, he lives in his own reality. He really does.
So the issue ends with, like, Peter talking to Aunt May, and again, it's another, like, one more day is a bad idea. I was like, Peter, even if I die, you can live on without me. You went through some really fucking extreme shit in this comic. I know it's because it's called Marvel Knights, but damn, Peter. Here's your classic suit. Just be friendly neighborhood again. And he's like, okay, Aunt May, and they hug, and they kiss, and they go home happily ever after, but not before one little twist. A letter from Oscorp is delivered to Peter Parker.
And I want to...
And it's from Gwen Stacy. Oh, wait, sorry, wrong storyline.
But I want to read this letter verbatim, because this is one of the most screwed up things I've ever read in my life. So, my dear Peter, if you're reading this, it can only mean that I have failed in my latest endeavor, and so I wish to offer my most heartfelt congratulations. Obviously, this is one of several letters I had prepared, and you have my word as an old friend, but the assistant mailing this has no idea about the rather remarkable secret we both share. I want to thank you for what I assume was both a fair and exciting battle, and assure you that you can enjoy a period of relaxation regardless of whether I've survived or not. It must be stressed that these fights are by no means a sign of any real enmity. On the contrary, I hold you in enormous regard, and am always grateful for your attentions. Were it not for you, I would just be another boring businessman running another boring chemical manufacturing business. Your intelligence and resourcefulness has given my life both structure and meaning, and I apologize for any doubts I have placed in your mind as a result of our latest meeting. As you know, your marriage, your reputation, and your passion for preserving the status quo are all very important to me, and I can only hope that no seeds of doubt or uselessness have been planted in any way. Take care and sleep well. I shall keep you in my prayers and trust that you shall always keep me in yours. Forever, Norman. The end. What the fuck
She
was
probably
that?
fucked over in a week by the Stacy twins.
What the heck was that? That was the most screwed up thing I've ever read in my life. Alright, Marvel Knights Spider-Man number 11 and 12. I'm gonna go first since James went first last time. Number 11 I really like. It's just fight scenes. That's all it is, but I really like the Sinister 12 fight scene. Like James said, it's just Spider-Man beating on a bunch of villains, and it's really cool. I love that panel where I love that page where Gargan's just like, yeah, we're gonna kill you, and Spider-Man's just like, get the frick out of my face. And I love that so much. I like the fight between Spider-Man and Venom in the street, and I like the caption box that says, "But I've got news for you, man. A loser dressed like Venom is still a freaking loser." I love that so much. That's great. I have some problems with issue 12 though.
I think we all did. 'Cause that's why I riffed the hell out of it. It was pretty much let's recreate the night Gwen Stacy died because of the movies, and that's it.
But it's like my main problem with it is that like I didn't think the ending was satisfying because Spider-Man didn't beat the Green Goblin. He got struck by lightning, and he just fell into the river, and it was over.
That's the point. I think Millar was setting up more, but he left Marvel Knights to start writing Civil War, so he dropped it.
And it was just not satisfying to me. It's like, oh, they got struck by lightning and the situation was fine. It was like, no, you can't do that. That's not a satisfying ending in my opinion. So that to me was a big.
That's like something Slott would write right now. The whole Spider-Man not taking down the villain, Fate took down the villain.
Yeah, it's like that. That's not satisfying to me. So, I did like when Spider-Man caught Mary Jane by hitting all of her, by webbing all of her major joints. That was some pretty good stuff. That was a good, twist on the classic bridge trope.
I love it because it showed that Peter actually learned his lesson. No matter how much, why me, everybody always dies, it does show that he learns from his mistakes.
Yeah, so that was good character development. I like the Peter Aunt May scene with her. I really like that she says, "And if it wasn't for Spider-Man, I'd never have been rescued." I thought that was a great line. It just shows that the great dynamic they had between them, like in this specific era, was just, it really was the best. It was the best era for Aunt May. It really was. J. Jonah Jameson's little epilogue thing of writing puff pieces for Spider-Man because he thinks John Jameson is Spider-Man is just like, this was never touched again, and we're all thankful that it wasn't.
I'm going to touch that because my review of these last two issues is also kind of a retrospective of Marvel Knights, where it's basically calling out all the bullshit that Millar puts in this book that no other writer touches. He's like, look at this greatness I gave you for Spider-Man, and then like nobody touches it with a 50-foot pole.
But that final page with Norman's letter, it's just like, that's the biggest thing for me, because that's just so, that's Norman Osborn right down to a T for me, and it's just so crazy and screwed up, and that last page is just like, what? I remember the first time I read this, I was like, what the hell was that? But, like, it's good stuff. I mean, overall, I give these last two issues, like, I give it a thumbs this way, like, in between a thumbs up and a thumbs sideways. Number 12 gets a thumbs sideways, because I think it's kind of a disappointing finale, but number 11 gets a thumbs up. So, like, I'll give it an in-between for both issues. But yeah, I mean, Marvel Knights overall, like, James said he's going to do, like, a general retrospective, so I'll just give some general thoughts. Marvel Knights overall is, like, this 12-issue arc is one of my favorite Spider-Man stories of all time, and I think it's just really good, really gets the character, has a really good, interesting narrative, has a lot of great character dynamics, great artwork, and so overall, if you've not read it, I recommend it. I mean, if you've not read it and you've watched the last 3 episodes, then we've just spoiled the hell out of it. But if you've not read it, you really need to. It's really good. So, James, thoughts on Marvel Knights Spider-Man 11 and 12, and thoughts on Marvel Knights in general?
Yeah, like I said, it's a good story. The ending, I do agree, is kind of a lame thing. I do love that the mystery actually is a generalized mystery. It wasn't just like sometimes the comics where it's like here, like Slot did, where here don't you like the twist? It was the Green Goblin. It was Norman all along, and it's like that's not a mystery. That's a status quo. You know what I mean, though? The mystery is the Green Goblin was the guy who it's been for 50 years. That's not a mystery. You know what I mean? It's like, but this one actually felt like a mystery. It actually felt like, and I loved how the clues, the fact that the names of the comic book arcs were fucking clues to Aunt May. That it was called down. The first arc was called Down with the Dead Men, and it ties into her being buried with Uncle Ben. You find out why they vandalized Uncle Ben. It wasn't just to say fuck you to Peter. They vandalized it when they put Aunt May down there. I love all these little subtle hints. How he keeps on visiting Uncle Ben's grave, and it's like she's right there. I love that little touch that she was there all along, and I liked how they handled that. There's other thing. I do like the one thing I like about the bridge is the fact that it did some of that. Peter learned from his mistakes, and that he kind of, and not in a bad way, but you know, like he saved the woman he loved. He got to make up for what happened to Aunt May. I mean, to Gwen. He got to make up for what happened to Gwen. And it's kind of like that really great moment, like he finally saved the girl. He saved the woman he loves. He saved his wife. And then, like, no writer touches that because then 100 times later he does the whole, why me for Gwen? Why me? Like, he did it again now during Clone Conspiracy. Gwen, you're back! He does it in Sin's Past. They do the same thing with Sin's Past, only it was the Stacy twin with the gun on the bridge. So that kind of, like, demotes it, what happened with Mary Jane. It gets watered down when it happens literally the same month in a different title. But that's a rant for a different book, not this book. But I like it when it's handled here because it really sums up why I think Mary Jane is the love of Peter Parker and all that stuff. And he saves her, and it was really great. That triumphant moment, even though it's clearly just again Mark Millar, like, well, it happened in the movie. So yeah, that's my biggest problem with this ending is that it really felt like Doc Ock with him. His whole thing was the Spider-Man 4, which probably was coming out on home video around the time that this happened. The ending of this, and of course Spider-Man 1. That's my biggest cons about it. The Gargan stuff, it's just like a reason why I hate Gargan. They put the Venom symbiote on somebody, and instead of trying to make him cool and badass and make him the next evolution of Venom and make it not Eddie Brock, it was just, we did that so we can have somebody who could be a joke now be Venom. And because Bendis held on to this so long, the joke got stretched out way longer. It should have ended here. But it doesn't. So that's my con, but besides that, I really like the artwork. I really like the storyline, and I love all 12. I like all 12 issues. Now, for my retrospective, yeah, it's very hard to fit a lot of these stuff in the continuity. It really reads as Mark Millar. It's like, here, look at all this cool stuff I did for Spider-Man, and then JMS is like, that doesn't tie into what I'm doing in my book. Bendis is like, that's not what I want to do with Spider-Man and New Avengers, except for Gargan. I'll keep that. That's a cool idea. And then like Peter David, Friendly Neighborhood is like, I don't want to touch that stuff. And then that, I don't know how to pronounce it, that Pierre, what's his name, the guy who takes over after this? Roberto
Aguirre Sacasta.
He, like, takes over with the next arc, and he doesn't even touch none of this stuff. So he's like, I'm not going to touch it, Peter David's not going to touch it, Bendis isn't touching it, and JMS isn't touching it. Besides for one thing, and that's Gargan. So you end up with this weird book where it's, my headcanon is, it's in continuity. It's not, this what we write is not in continuity. It's its own storyline, but elements took place in the Marvel Universe. The Green Goblin, after being finally taken to jail after what happened in the Pulse, he gets Spider-Man to break him out and Venom with the Sinister 12. All that stuff still happens. It's just little tweaks about, like, John Jameson and the whole government conspiracy. That stuff didn't happen in the 616 version of the storyline. That's my own headcanon, or else it doesn't fit, and you'll go insane trying to make it fit. Yeah, like I said, it's just really weird how, and if you read the next arc after this, it's like really like, you know, night and day in a bad way, because the next arc is really stupid, but you immediately go from the Avengers are still a thing, Peter's, you know, swinging on his own, you know, Mary Jane, and then the next issue is literally, he's in the Avenger Tower, because he's a new Avenger, he's in a training mission, Jonah hates Spider-Man, and he has a Superman now writing as a reporter for the Daily Planet, the Daily Bugle. And and now they're trying to throw in the whole fact that Wolverine's like, I'm on a superhero team and there's a hot redhead who's married to one of my teammates. Well, I gotta try to bang her because love triangles and I have a thing for redheads. and then it's literally like this dumb thing as it makes Wolverine look like a dick. Wolverine is a dick, but he's not a. When he went after Jean, it's because he actually had romantic feelings for her, and it was a love triangle, and it was drama. This just came off as, you're redhead, I want to bang you, and it's Spider-Man's wife, so it'll be funny. And she's like, get away from me, you're gross. Literally, that's it. And then this just becomes Wolverine and Spider-Man's relationship throughout the whole New Avenger. Is, you want to bang my wife, and she thinks you're gross. Get the fuck away from her. You're creepy, Wolverine. So Wolverine stabs Spider-Man in a training mission that sets up the other. That's literally the next arc in a nutshell.
All right, James. But any other thoughts on Marvel Knights Spider-Man?
Just, I like the artwork. I like everything else about this. It's pretty good.
All right.
Yeah, can't say much about it. It's hard. It's the only downside is it's Miller. This is the time in Marvel where they were like, I don't care if it doesn't fit in continuity. You're selling our books. This is when they did. Bendis was famous for doing this at the time. JMS was famous for doing this at the time. Everybody who wrote for Marvel was kind of like, well, did it happen? Well, kind of, I don't know. And yeah, maybe if you wanted to, it happened. Like, Bendis still has that philosophy with everything. Yeah, if you say it happened, it happened. But no, it doesn't really tie into my story, and I don't care. And that's kind of what Miller does here, and it's just very hard to fit his Satellite Spider-Man book in when every other universe is also Spider-Man book is also having that same opinion. No, we're not going to touch that. It doesn't matter. It didn't happen in my book.
All right, but that's going to conclude our Marvel Knights review, and that's also going to conclude this episode of the podcast. We don't really have anything else to talk about this week. So next week, well, here's the thing. If we get a trailer this week, then you will see us before next weekend. But if we don't get a trailer this week, or if the trailer comes out like on Friday or something, then we'll just wait till the weekend to talk about it. But next weekend, you will definitely hear our review of Clone Conspiracy number 3. I don't know if anything else is coming out this week, so if something else does come out, then we'll talk about that as well.
I don't think so. I think the only Spider-Man related thing is, if it's not the trailer, it's just the comic.
Oh boy, James, I'm not looking forward to it, James.
It's Wednesday. So we'll know by Wednesday. You'll know by Wednesday if this is going to be the biggest rant in the history of our show ever. And that's saying something with some of our rants. Like John's rant at the end of the one Zodiac arc, and then my rant at Sin's Past. Can you imagine? If Slot says this is going to be worse than anything those books did, we're in for something.
I still remember that Zodiac rant, too, because I was pissed.
I love it because I'm, like, going through my back issues, and I'm going, here's Sin's Past! This is better piece of shit than this! Here's this comic from the 70s, where he fought Mind Worm! It's better than this, because it's the real Peter Parker! Like, we're both, like, just so pissed off at the comic.
Alright, but, Clone...
And I will always use that as my argument about why I don't like Slot's run right now. I always use that issue. He's a science major, and he doesn't fucking know the metric system. Fuck you.
But yeah, Clone Conspiracy...
You don't win any argument over how Slot's writing Spider-Man when the guy who invented web shooters doesn't even know what the metric system is. You lose all credibility. I'm sorry.
But Clone Conspiracy number 3 is next week. Shout-outs. James, any final words or shout-outs for the listeners before we sign off?
Yeah, a couple, shout out to, Q Ranger. Those suits got leaked this weekend, like Saturday they got leaked. For the first time in Power Ranger and Sentai history, we're not starting with a team of 5 or a team of 3. We're starting with a team of 9. Because Q in Japanese means 9. So there's a whole team of 9 Rangers, a Red Ranger, a Blue Ranger, a Black Ranger, a Silver Ranger, a Gold Ranger, a Blue Ranger, a female Green Ranger, Yellow Ranger, Pink Ranger. I'm sure I'm repeating colors now, but that's because there's just so many of them to keep track. Orange Ranger. It's going to be the biggest Sentai ever, it looks like, and it's going to be actually pretty cool. So shout out to Q Ranger. Besides that, I don't really have much else to shout out to.
Are you still upset about the Dino Charge finale? I knew that was coming. I'm sorry.
Shout out to Cameron Samurai on Ranger Board for being the one guy who, when I brought up our podcast, said, "Yeah, I watched an episode. It's cool."
Oh yes, James showed me that. Thank you, sir. We appreciate that compliment.
Because it was a friend that was like, list your favorite podcasts, and as me and because I'm technically not got the advertisement thing, but pretty much anybody who doesn't got the advertisement thing or got a podcast, whatever, or YouTube page or whatever, that's their cheeky way of getting an advertisement out. Well, I'm going to list all my stuff, wink, because you can't get mad at me because that's what this Fred's for, is listen to your favorite podcasts. And I kind of did that when somebody goes, I love listening to the Crawl Space because they bitch about Dan Slott. Well, we like seeing people bitch about Dan Slott. You can see me do it in every episode of my podcast. And he goes, yeah, I checked you out a few times. Your show's kind of cool.
All right, but my shout out, Marvel, Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, Mark Millar, Terry Dodson, Tom Holland, all of them. Thank you for Spider-Man. Thank you for the comics we reviewed this week. Other shout outs, well, since I was like not feeling well this weekend, I watched a lot of Netflix, and I got through Luke Cage on Netflix. That's pretty good. I enjoyed that.
It is a good show. It's hard to fit it in with the MCU, though.
I kind of disagree.
They keep on bringing up Obama when Ellis is the president.
Yeah, but
people are still trying to figure that out. Because they're like, well, maybe Ellis... Okay, I can just bring up this rant because it is kind of relevant right now with the whole, is the Netflix series an MCU, or are they just in a similar universe? Like, there's all those fan theories now out because of this. People are saying that what it is Obama was president, but right after the Shakar invasion of Avengers 1, Ellis became president. Because Ellis's whole campaign was even, I'm going to protect you from all these meta-human shit that goes on. So I think, it makes sense. Obama was the president in 08, but in 012, all the shit hit the fan with the Avengers. So Ellis got elected. So Ellis is the president. Except when you watch Iron Man 3, where it's clearly 2013 it takes place, because it's 13 years after the 2000 millennium. And they reference that the administration of Ellis has been for 5 years trying to stop AIM and all Killigan's plots. And the whole fact that he said, we're going to blame you for an oil spill that happened during the beginning of your term 4 years ago. So then it's like, no, Ellis has been the president since 2008.
Who knows? It's just...
But they keep on mentioning, remember when President Obama did this? President Obama. Look, he's like President Obama, this guy. Well, look at Luke Cage. He's the President Obama of Harlem. It's like, but Obama's not the president. But I guess someone else pointed out that Captain America on his list of things in Winter Soldier does include Obama, the first president. So it's like even they don't even keep it straight with the movies.
So yeah, but Luke Cage, I like that. I like that show. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's good. I like all the Netflix shows are good though. It's like status quo right now.
Yeah, so I mean, Iron Fist comes out in March, so we'll see if that can continue the quality. I'm really pumped for Defenders though. I'm really excited for that. That's sounding like it's going to be really cool. Other shout out, I saw Guardians of the Galaxy today. I finally watched that for the first time. That's a good movie. I didn't think it was as amazing as everyone said it was, but I mean,
I do.
But it's a good film. I enjoyed it. It made me laugh. So, Guardians of the Galaxy, that's pretty good. What else? Supergirl had its like mid-season finale or whatever this week, and that was really good. I enjoyed that a lot.
Setting up Invasion,
which I watched the Flash episode of Invasion. Don't tell Jan that I said I watched the Flash. But I watched the Flash episode of it and I was like, yeah, it's all right, but I didn't continue watching after that.
You know what that is, don't you? Invasion. It's a tie-in to an 80s DC crossover event that no one remembers because it was stupid and slightly racist.
I know nothing about DC, so...
I'll explain it after the show because I don't think John wants me to talk about a DC event from the 80s on the air.
But, yeah, so I know nothing about DC, so I didn't even know anything about it, but... So, yeah, yeah, that's pretty much it. So, we may see you before next weekend. We may not. It just depends on if the trailer comes out. If a trailer comes out, we'll try to get a show out ASAP. But, yeah, other than that, thank you all for tuning in. We know that this episode is coming out on a weird night, but it's just how our schedules worked out, so, thank you all for tuning in. I hope you like my glasses. My eyes have been bugging me today, and so usually when my eyes bug me, I wear these. So I hope you all like my glasses. But this is Spider-Man's Tangled Web Show, episode 114, signing off. Have a good life.